Hi, music fans. Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm your host, Steven, and today we're doing part three of albums who are, oh my God, I cannot believe this, turning 45 this year. First up, we'll go with Sticks, Pieces of Eight, another concept album by the band. They're never been shy about that. This one is a very easy concept of someone not giving up on your dreams in order to pursue money and materialistic items. Very simple kind of thing in terms of concept. Has my favorite songs, two of my favorite songs from Tommy Shaw, Renegade and Blue Collar Man. It's still part of their repertoire today, and for good reason. They're solid songs. It's a great album. Can't believe it's 45 years old. Again, that's hard to take, but hey, it is what it is. Next up, we have the probably the most unique release of 1978. On September 18th of that year, Kiss decided to release four solo albums. So you had Peter Criss, Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons, and Paul Stanley release their solo albums on the same day. Oddly enough, most fans who knew Ace Frehley was, stumbling. He was getting the excess of rock and roll that his album would probably be the worst, and it may be the best one of the bunch, and it was surprisingly so with the big hit New York Groove. I personally like the Ace Frehley and the Paul Stanley album best. Paul Stanley probably is the prototype to what Kiss would sound like in the 80s. If you listen to that album, you can see where he goes, how he's taken the wheel. And you'll see what I mean if you do listen to it. So anybody who's a Kiss fan in the 80s, listen to the Paul Stanley solo album. You can see he became the driving force in the 80s. And you can see it. There's no doubt the correlation, how the albums are quite the similar in the way he sings, the way it's played. I mean, give or take the 80s, there are little indulgences here and there, but you can see that this is Paul Stanley's baby, and that became the blueprint for the 80s albums. Next, we have Queen Jazz, which came out in November. Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle Race were a double single that was released. Another good song on there is Let Me Entertain You. It's another good Queen album. I enjoyed that album. It's maybe not be the best Queen album, but it's still a good album nonetheless. I'm glad that Roy Thomas came back to produce that album. He I think got Queen the way they do things. He kind of understood that the best. So next up, Rod Stewart, Blondes Have More Fun. This was released in November of 1978. This is where Rod Stewart kind of takes a little dip into the disco era with Do You Think I'm Sexy? Which a lot of people thought it was a rip-off of Miss You from the Stones. There's a similarity to it, but who doesn't copy everybody in music, right? I mean, that's a given. Good album. There's some rock songs on there, so that people say that's his disco album. I'm on the fence of that. I still think it's a good album, but it did hurt his career for a while. There was a few albums until Out of Order came out that he was kind of stumbling. Like I said, I mentioned a few other reviews that rock guys couldn't do disco or pop; they had to stick to rock. So when they diverted, some artists their career got hurt, and Rod Stewart was one of those guys that got hurt by doing a disco song. There was a few albums that just suffered because of that, and that's unfortunate. But hey, that was the time, right? We learned to be more open to artists being, expanding their palette. And 1978 wasn't that time just yet. So, but that'll happen later on. Then we have in August of 1978, Boston Don't Look Back. This is their second album after their big first debut album, and Tom Scholz, the principal songwriter, the creator of this band, had very easy concept to make this album. It was basically make songs that the minute you play it, you want to play it again, and that kind of worked with this album. It was a big smash hit as well, and especially the title track. It served its purpose. It kept the momentum of Boston going, and so mission accomplished, right? Next up, a divisive album for Doobie Brothers fans. This one is called Minute by Minute, came out in December of 1978. This is the one with Michael McDonald's on the album here. A lot of fans do not like Michael McDonald with the Doobie Brothers. I will have to say I do like him. It added a different element, but I thought it was an enjoyable element. But that was again, it was a time where blues, if you're a rock band of whatever kind of band, if you changed your style, a lot of fans had a hard time with that. Not like now where, people see, band members come and go and, they go after trends and whatever the case may be. At that time, people took this, their music was integrity. And if you're a rock band, you're a rock band. If you're a blues band, you're a blues band. So the Doobie Brothers, when they brought Michael McDonald in, I mean, he did get them a little bit more commercial success, but it did hurt them credibility wise. And this is another case where it's a diverse album where a lot of fans don't like Michael McDonald on here, but I do like him as part of the band. And again, this album is their only number one album, and it has the smash hit "What a Fool Believes," and I think that's a phenomenal song. Whether you like Michael McDonald or not, a great song is a great song is a great song, and that is a great. It's put on their greatest hits package because it's a greatest hit for a reason. It did the job of getting them known and pushing that album to number one. And that's it. That's the end of my list. I know I've missed a couple. I think I'm sure there's a Billy Joel album. I think 52nd Street came out and that went number one as well because of The Stranger a couple years before. So that's another one. I think there's a Peter Gabriel album I'm missing somewhere. I know there's something I'm missing. If you see that I missed some stuff, let me know. Send it in. Tell me which ones they are. Tell me if you like them. Tell me if they aged well. These are albums I think that are still holding up for me in my collection. Like I said, I know I've missed a few here and there. Let us know what I missed, or give me some that you think deserve to be on this list of some of the best that are turning 45. What's in your collection? I'd love to know. We'd love to hear from you. Smash the like button, subscribe. This is Steven again from the Aroundtable, wishing everyone the very best in 2023.